to keep the peace.
What if the real monster in the terror, Devil in Silver, isn't the bison-headed creature at all? What if the hospital itself is alive, feeding on fear, trapping everyone inside like a maze with no exit? Because episode 3 just made things way darker. So, alright, episode 3 of The Terror is honestly where the show stops teasing the horror and starts confirming that something deeply wrong is happening inside New Hyde. And the scariest part, nobody there is shocked anymore. The patients know about it. The nurses know about it. Even the doctors are terrified to talk about it. And Pepper, he's finally realizing he's trapped inside something much bigger than just a psychiatric hospital. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. So let's break this entire episode down because there are a lot of hidden details here, especially involving the Silver Door, Dr. Walter. And what this devil actually might be.
What was it? What was it?
What was what?
The thing! What was it?
Pepper's trauma and the devil behind the Silver Door. Now, first off, Pepper is completely broken after the attack from episode 2. The guy's stuck in a wheelchair. His face is bruised up, and nobody's giving him a straight answer. Officially, the hospital says he attacked himself while resisting staff, which is obviously complete nonsense. I mean, come on, nobody injures themselves that badly. But here's what makes this episode creepy. Nobody openly says the truth, yet everybody acts like they already know it. Coffee basically confirms this immediately. He tells Pepper there's a malevolent presence inside New Hyde, something living behind the Silver Door. And according to him, the only way to survive is to comply. That word keeps coming up over and over in this episode, comply. Don't ask questions. Don't fight back. Don't look too closely. And honestly, that's scarier than the monster itself, because it means the hospital has normalized horror. Think about it like this. Imagine being trapped in a building where everyone knows there's a tiger roaming around at night, but instead of escaping, they just quietly tell you, don't upset it. That's basically New Hyde right now, and Pepper refuses to accept that. That's what I love about his character. Even after getting attacked by a literal bison-faced monster, he still keeps digging for answers. Most people would have mentally checked out at this point. Pepper does the opposite.
Dr. Walter makes him do it.
Who's Dr. Walter?
Dory's clues and Dr. Walter's son. Then we get one of the most important conversations in the episode, Pepper's scene with Dory. When Pepper asks her if she's seen the devil, she says yes almost immediately, no hesitation. But then she says something really interesting. He doesn't mean to hurt anyone, he used to be good. That line changes everything, because suddenly this creature stops feeling like a random demon and starts sounding like a victim. And then Dory adds another terrifying detail. Dr. Walter makes him do things. That right there might be the biggest clue in the entire episode, because now the show is heavily implying the creature behind the Silver Door is connected directly to Dr. Walter. Well, probably his son. And honestly, the clues are everywhere. The way the staff talks about him, the way they restrain him after attacks, the fact that Miss Chris says he's becoming too strong to control. This doesn't sound like a ghost or hallucination anymore. It sounds physical, real, contained, almost like New Hyde has been secretly imprisoning a failed experiment. And if that's true, then Dr. Walter might have created the monster himself. Is the devil real or a manifestation of fear? Here's the crazy part though. The show keeps blurring the line between supernatural horror and psychological horror, because there's also another interpretation here. What if the bison creature is a manifestation of fear? Dorry compares him to the American buffalo that were slaughtered in huge numbers during the 1800s. That's not random symbolism. The buffalo historically represents destruction, extermination, loss of identity. And honestly, that mirrors what New Hyde does to its patients. The hospital strips people down mentally until they become compliant. So maybe the creature represents the fear of being erased, the fear of becoming trapped forever, the fear of losing yourself. And Pepper is resisting that fear harder than anyone else there. The Jaws book club scene explained. But then the episode throws another massive clue at us during the Jaws book club scene. And this scene is so good because nobody directly says what's happening, but everyone understands it anyway. The patients compare the creature to the shark from Jaws, a monster that constantly needs to be fed. And suddenly, the metaphor becomes obvious. New Hyde sacrifices society's unwanted people to keep the devil satisfied. That's such a disturbing idea. The hospital isn't healing people, it's containing something. And Dr. Anand clearly realizes the conversation is getting dangerous because the second Pepper starts opening up. Anand walks in and immediately monitors the discussion. Notice how tense the room becomes too. Nobody feels safe talking openly. That tells you fear controls this hospital more than medicine does. Dr. Badger's death. Then we get the death of Dr. Badger. And wow. This scene was nightmare fuel. Up until now, Badger was one of the only doctors who actually seemed human. He genuinely cared about the patients. And unlike the others, He questioned the official story about Pepper's injuries, because let's be real, Pepper didn't fall. The guy looked like he survived a truck accident, so naturally, Badger starts investigating, and the moment he does that, he dies. Not only that, but the way the show handles it is incredibly unsettling. He hears a woman crying inside the sealed dumbwaiter shaft, and that's such classic supernatural bait. The entity basically lures him in with sympathy. It's almost like the hospital itself wanted him curious, and then suddenly, bam, the dumbwaiter slams shut on him. Now technically, the show leaves it slightly ambiguous. Maybe it was an accident, but come on. There's no logical reason for crying sounds to come from a sealed shaft unless something supernatural is manipulating him. And honestly, this moment tells us something important about the devil. It protects the secrets of New Hyde. Anybody who asks too many questions becomes a threat. Sam's Diner and the Lorazepam Rebellion. Now meanwhile, Dr. Anand decides the perfect solution to all this chaos is pizza night, which honestly feels insane at first. Like, a patient got mauled by a bison monster and your response is, "Hey, everybody, let's get mozzarella sticks." But psychologically, it actually makes sense. Sam's Diner represents routine, comfort, normalcy. Whenever things spiral out of control, the hospital tries to re-establish stability through distractions and medication. And speaking of medication, this episode finally complicates the whole situation in a really interesting way, because Pepper convinces everyone to stop taking lorazepam. At first, it sounds heroic. He thinks the meds are numbing them, so they can't think clearly enough to escape. But then we slowly realize some of these patients genuinely need the medication. That's what makes this episode smarter than a typical evil asylum story. It's not saying medication is evil. It's saying control becomes dangerous when people lose the ability to choose. And once the patients stop taking their pills, everything starts falling apart. People become unstable, agitated, emotional. Even Pepper realizes he accidentally created chaos. Why Pepper returned instead of escaping. And honestly, the Sam's Diner sequence is one of the best scenes in the episode because it forces Pepper into a moral dilemma. He finally has a chance to escape. The nurses are overwhelmed, the patients are causing chaos. He literally walks outside and heads toward freedom. And then he stops, because for the first time, Pepper realizes these people trusted him. They believed in him. And if he leaves, he's abandoning them. That's such a huge turning point for his character, because earlier, Pepper only cared about proving he didn't belong there. But now, he's becoming emotionally connected to the others, especially Coffee, Dory, and Louie. And I love that Louie refuses to escape with him. She basically tells him that she chooses to stay because these people need somebody looking out for them. That moment says a lot about her character. She's learned how to survive New Hyde by blending in. Pepper hasn't learned that yet. So instead of escaping, Pepper goes back inside and fights alongside the patients. And honestly, that's probably the first truly selfless thing he's done in the show. But then Dr. Anand delivers one of the coldest scenes in the episode afterward. He reveals he found all the hidden lorazepam pills inside the planters. And now he's increasing surveillance on everyone. No privacy, no independence, constant observation. And suddenly New Hyde starts feeling less like a hospital and more like a prison camp. Is Dr. Walter the actual devil? Which brings us to the biggest mystery of the episode. Is Dr. Walter the actual devil? Now, this is where things get really creepy, because Louie, the police officer from episode 1, should absolutely be dead. We literally saw him shoot himself in the head. Yet here he is, casually walking around New Hyde talking to Pepper at first. He almost seems normal too, calm, friendly even. But then you notice something off about him. He speaks like somebody pretending to be human, and when Pepper mentions the devil attack, Louie's expression changes instantly, almost like he's gathering information, like he's reporting back to something. And then the episode subtly reveals the horrifying truth. Louie isn't really Louie anymore. Something is using his body. Maybe Dr. Walter's spirit. Maybe the devil itself. Maybe some parasite-like entity controlling dead people. Whatever it is, New Hyde clearly doesn't let people leave. Not even through death. Ending explained. The final scene absolutely seals the horror tone of the season. Pepper finally approaches the silver door directly. No more hints, no more metaphors. He wants answers. And that's when Louie appears again, except now his head wound is clearly visible. This is the first time Pepper fully realizes he's dealing with something impossible. The dead are walking around this hospital, and when Pepper asks who he really is, the entity says something incredibly disturbing. "I'm your friend." That line is terrifying because it sounds manipulative, predatory, like the devil wants Pepper to surrender willingly. And then comes the threat. If Pepper refuses his friendship, everyone in the hospital dies. That changes the stakes completely, because now this isn't just about survival anymore. Pepper's resistance could put everyone else in danger. And yet, even after hearing that, Pepper still refuses to give up. That final moment where he tells the others, "It's either the devil or us," that felt huge. because for the first time, the patients stop feeling powerless. They feel united, like survivors preparing for war. And honestly, I think that's what this season is really about underneath all the horror imagery. Fear versus resistance, compliance versus identity. New Hyde wants people sedated, isolated, obedient, quiet. Pepper keeps choosing the opposite. And maybe that's why the devil is so obsessed with him specifically, because Pepper refuses to surrender his sense of self. Our nerdy thoughts. Now, the big question moving forward is this: how do you fight something that can change shape, manipulate minds, possess bodies, and possibly control the hospital itself? Is the creature physical, psychological, supernatural, or is New Hyde itself the real monster? That's what makes the season so fascinating right now. The show keeps giving us just enough clues to build theories, but not enough to fully trust what we're seeing. And honestly, that uncertainty makes everything scarier. But alright, that was my full breakdown of episode 3 of The Terror. Definitely let me know your theories in the comments, because I genuinely want to know, do you think the bison-headed devil is real? Or is this all some kind of shared psychological nightmare created by New Hyde? And also, who do you think is behind the silver door? If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more weekly horror and sci-fi deep dives. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.